dear believers, Muslims, Assalamu alaikum. We begin always Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that is with God's name, the merciful benefactor and the merciful redeemer. We say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All of the praises to God. He is the Lord of all systems of knowledge. Alhamdulillahi Ladi Kalakal Insana Alamal Ulbayan. All the praises to God who created, it says Kalakal Insan, who created the human being. Alamal Ulbayan, and taught him. Alamal, who means he taught him. Bayan, he taught him intelligence. Wa idh qala, and when God said, Rabbuka, it says that when your Lord and my Lord said, Lil malaikatihi inni jailun, and when God said to the angels, he's talking to his angels, he created them, he can talk to them. I'm going to make, surely I am going to make Fil Ardi Khalifa, in this earth, people who will follow guidance. That God was going to make a Khalifa. Imam Muhammad said it means a human being, male and female, who are ruled by divine knowledge. That's beautiful to me. Nasta'inu, we seek Allah for His help. We don't have no help except that. It's overwhelming sometimes for those of us who can appreciate Allah allowing us to make it this far. Nastaghfiruhu, and we ask Him for His forgiveness. Wa nu'minu bihadil jal, and we put trust in Allah, and we don't break with His trust. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, that is, I witness that there is no God but God. That means God is the boss. God is in charge. Wahdahu la sharika lahu, He is unique and has no partners. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and we witness that Muhammad is God's messenger. We say wassalatu wassalamu alayhi rasulihi kareem, and the prayers and the peace be upon the noble messenger, Mubarak, and God's servants. We say Ameen. Let it be so. Let Allah allow this to take place. The subject for both parts of these khutbahs is going to be reading is fundamental, taken from a book of tafsirs of Imam W.D. Muhammad, and it was collected and put together by Imam Randall Shaheed. Reading is fundamental. And in our Quran, the first thing that was revealed to Muhammad the Prophet was Iqra, read. Read, that's the base. And fundamental means it's your original foundation. Whatever is fundamental, that's the basics for your existence. And this book is titled Reading is Fundamental. It's the first order of importance. And when people ask me about some of the problems that we're experiencing today, it's because we don't have as much education as it should be in this world. And in the book, again, another book, this book is titled The Human Destiny. Human Destiny. And the Imam said, the balanced life, the promised human destiny, Muhammad represents that. The prayers and peace of God be upon him. Meaning that the ideal society is although he's a human being, but he said the human being, the prophets themselves also represented society. They represented communities. And the ideal community is a community that is just. Not only just, he listed some things here, 4 things, and I wrote them down. One, he says, a just society. Then the second thing, he said, is an enlightened society. The people have to have knowledge. You cannot leave the people ignorant and expect them to act a certain civilized way. Because if you do, you don't understand civilization, or you might be intentionally doing this. Because the Imam said these scriptures, Quran, Bible, these books are speaking to the leadership. Even though those who are on my level, we get it too. But it's those people in those bigger positions. God is addressing them specifically. That they're supposed to do certain things. They're not supposed to leave your masses ignorant. First, they should be just. They should be fair. So if you were calling them to law, they're going to believe law is beneficial because they see you obeying it. But if they don't see you obeying it, it's going to be a problem. People are not going to have faith in you if you don't respect the law. I'm talking to the leader now. Who knows? They might get some of our lectures. I believe they will from Masjid or what we know, or from other communities across. Because we're not the only community saying this. If you want people to respect the law, you got to respect it. So it got to be just. Then you got to have people enlightened. Then the Imam said, number 3, compassionate. You got to be compassionate toward people. And then lastly, he said the society has to be humane. It has to be, and that's what we're working for, he said. If you want to know what we're working for, the reason that I'm saying we have to establish community life and build a community. Imam said we have to show other people how this life can exist. You are a community of people who can show other people how this can exist. It's not going to exist unless you can see an example of people following it. I read, kind of changing this, but it's the same thing. Reading is fundamental. I read something Jesus said, alayhi salam, upon him be the peace of God himself. This is Bible. He said, think not that I come to destroy the law. I didn't come to destroy it. He said, I come to fulfill it. That is to me. So now here is 10 commandments. 10 commandments. If there are commandments, and I look up commandments mean this is what God is telling you, this is imperative that you do. This is not something that you can joke about. This is vital. This is very important, and if you don't recognize how important it is, God says, I'm going to tell you I got 10 of them to give you. This is Bible. For those people who are listening, who are Christian people. And if God has commanded you something, why would he command it if it's not important? Why would God Almighty command people something and it should be taken as one of our brothers say, lottie-dottie, so to speak? Why would God Almighty give you something and you're not going to take it serious? It's got to be taken serious. So here is a book. I read it before this Khutbah. I had already read it years ago. But here's the number 1 commandment. Number 2 commandment. It's coming down like that. 1, 2. It says, hear, O children of Israel, listen. It said, listen, listen. I am the God who brought you out of Egypt. Egypt is a land, if those who know scripture, I know we know it as Muslims, but for those who, it's when people are oppressed. I brought you out of this. You are not supposed to have no God before me. This is a commandment from God Almighty. And we as a people have ignored it. We don't pay it. It's as if I'm talking. Like it's just some old Joe Blow. Not that I'm a Joe Blow, but I'm just saying, it's like it's nobody. So what's the difference? God say don't make no images. God say don't have a God before him. And you do it anyway. And this is a commandment. It ain't like something you say, well, I'm going to do it maybe. And as the person said to me yeah, we know his image is in there, but I don't see the image. But God said don't do it. So if God said don't do it, that's the end of it. I was just talking to our Imam, and I'm not going to put him on the spot now, but you can't serve these two masters. God said don't do it. If God Almighty, if you believe that God revealed this to Moses, and he told him don't do this, then he's telling us for generations, not just 1,000 years ago, or 500 years ago, or 50 years ago, or a year ago, or today. God said don't do this. This is something you shouldn't do. If you do it, you're going to create something for yourself. It's going to be a monster born to which you cannot control. God let me, I tell you, he let me for some reason talk to a Klansman. I bet you most of us have talked to Klansmen, we just didn't know it. But this person told me he was. Most of y'all didn't talk to Klansmen, but you may not know he was a Klansman. Well, this guy told me he was a Klansman. And I asked him, I said, hey man, why do you carry a cross? What you carrying a cross? What is that about? Well, Jesus is a white man. And if Jesus is white, that means God is white. That's why the commandment is don't put no images in this. That's why the Almighty said, don't do this. You want to know why we got all this deep-seated, oh boy, I don't want to say the wrong word, what comes to my mind is some rough stuff, but we got some hateful people who are responding to this ignorance. And I'm saying it's in there because we don't recognize how important God is. If God tells you to do something, you just can't say, well, I'm going to still do it. No, you're not supposed to do it. If he has told you don't do certain things, excuse me. If God has said don't do it, that should really be the end of it. So we're looking for people on the earth who will take that position. There has to be some people who will take that position. And so that's why you hear people say, when the saints, it's some people who want to be among those people who want to live right. Thou should not make any graven images. And that's what I told one of my friends. We worked together. I won't put him on the spot by calling his name or anything like that. Some kind of way we got to get this idea that there's a man that's a God. It seems like it's a little thing, but something, if you talk about cancer has to have some source of foundation somewhere. It's got to be somewhere that something is feeding it. And again, I don't want to put the Iron Man on the spot, but years ago he put out a pamphlet. It was kind of a little piece of paper. It said, I hope I'm remembering it correctly, old ancient formula still works. The ancient formula. It's as if it don't exist anymore. The ancient formula, it must have been something to it. If God told people to do certain things, it must be a reason why. And those of us who consider themselves intelligent, like I consider myself, we should get with the people and say, why would God tell you don't do this if this is number one? Well, you're talking about number 2, or number 3, or number 4, or number 5, or number 6. All of them are important too. But surely, if it's number uno, it must be important. So this lecture is called Reading is Fundamental. The first thing revealed to Muhammad the Prophet was Iqra, read. That's the basics. So I'm inviting you people, you brothers and you sisters, read more. And again, it looks like I'm quoting my brother, he don't know who I'm talking about. Read the words of Jesus. Read the Bible and see what did Jesus say. They got it in red ink. The man came to Jesus and he called him. I'm talking to someone, they don't know who I'm talking because I invited them. They're not Muslims and I love them to death. I ain't putting them on the spot. But he said, good master. The Bible says Jesus told him, so why you call me good? Why are you calling me good? This is Bible. Why are you calling me good? He didn't just leave it there. He said, there's none good but one. And that is God. So people on this earth seem to be coming together. And I believe with all my heart that the Creator is behind it. Or He's orchestrated. I shouldn't say He's behind it, because I don't understand all this. We're told that God works in mysterious ways. So it's not like I can say how Allah is working this thing. But I can see something had to happen to get the attention of these people. Because people act like they can't hear you. You tell them certain things, they like, okay, they just keep on going. I ain't going to pay no attention. So it says, read in the name of your Lord who created. And the next verse, it says, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Khalaqa al-insana min alaq. Now look how this brother translated. I looked it up. He said, Khalaqa, he created insan, mankind, min from alaq. And one of the ways they translate this is love. They don't just say from a blood adherent, because Imam asked us to stay away from saying clout. He said, say blood adherent, community coming together. That's what it read. He said, when Prophet Muhammad read it, Prophet Muhammad knew what it meant. He wasn't looking at blood like running through my body. He was saying a community has to be closely coming together. And they put in here, I wrote it down, love, this is alaq, attachment, affection, concern, people coming together like a leech for community love. And that's what we're trying to do here at Mass Still What We Know. It's been a battle. Nobody ever said it was going to be easy. People might say, well, it should have been easy. It ain't supposed to be easy, right, Imam? I'm sorry, guys. I got 3 Imams I know here. It ain't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be rough. God said, you think, do you think you're going to be left alone and say you believe and not be what? Tested? God is going to test us. If you say you believe, you're not going to say you believe in God. That don't mean that we going to agree on everything. That's not how it works. Muhammad, the prophet, the prayers and peace of God be upon him. He said half of this is marriage. For a man that's been married 40 years, I found myself, you're not going to agree on every issue. So communities are not going to agree. It's like they look and they say, well, how come all these people are not? You're not going to get all these people to agree on every issue. But it should be where we can agree, I'm talking about the good people, that we should serve God. God should be number uno. Now that don't mean, I'm not saying everybody in my mind, I know this ain't going to happen. I ain't saying everybody should be in Islam, although I would love that to see that happen. I'm not saying everybody going to be in Christianity, everybody going to be Judaism or whatever the case is. But we should at least say that God Almighty is most important. And if we say that, then we have to do what Imam Muhammad said. You have to have a just society. And you have to have an enlightened society. You have to have people that are educated. You just can't have 1 or 2 people. Because the prophet said the community has to be ruled by shura. And the best leaders, he should have a cabinet. Part of our problem across this country is the man that's in charge who won't talk to nobody. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The top general for our president, I hate to say it, I'm not trying to get into politics. The one that is retired, he was on TV today, and he said, I cannot support him no more. Some of y'all have seen that. He said, this man is wrong. This man is wrong. And people in leadership, the wise ones on this level, I'm talking about level, that higher level, not on this level, but this level too, they should go and listen and not look for, as I heard Imam Wali said, we don't want everybody agreeing with us. And he's right. I mean, there's wisdom in that. You want somebody to say, no, well, I kind of see it another way. It don't mean that they're bad. But
some reason, our president, if you don't agree with him, he get rid of you. He's fine to people. And this man said he's gonna speak up, and he's a Republican like the president. And you can look, most of us have seen it because YouTube and Google, these outlets and these, they're almost like going to college. I mean, you can have a subject and you can be interested in it. I'm not saying this as well as going to college now, I don't mean that. But you can almost find any subject. And if you go and look, the people that have disagreed with our president, you can get their names. You don't even have to go and call anybody. You can Google it. And they'll tell you where they disagree with him, what problem they have with him. This is a unique time God has led us. And as one of our Imam Kareem Salam said, it's going to get better than this. He said the technology is not near what it's going to be. It's a wonderful time, although it's difficult. But the God who made us has made us in such a way that we should want to know what others are thinking. We should want to know, okay, let me listen to the sisters. Let me listen to the brothers. Oh, and we have a member that's different of my race. Let me hear what he's saying. Because one man said it like this, brothers. One man said it like this, sisters. He said, we can be looking at the same street. I physically did this. You can be looking at the same street. If I'm standing here, I see one view. If I go to the other side and look at the same street, I see something else. Same street. And as the person said, now why would God do that? You would think that you could stand there and see the same thing. You can't. You cannot do it. I've tried it. I physically tried that. I did it here on 3rd Street. I stood here from the Ameen looking out across 3rd, and I'm looking at that shop that's over there. Then when I went over there, I started looking over here. It was the same 3rd Street though. So just because you're looking at something and it appears that we should see it the same, that's not necessarily true. And that's what I told my Caucasian brothers. I told them, I said, I love you, man. I said, but you're not going to see what I've seen. How can you see what I've seen? It's impossible. He said, well, I do see a whole lot. You see a whole lot based upon what you're saying. But you don't see it. How can you see it? It says here, the best among you, the best of you is to learn the Quran and then teach what you have learned. Learn it and then teach it. This is what God said. So, those of us, like myself, the Imams in our community, that's our life. We're trying our best to give the best of what we have learned, especially the older we get. Because the older you get, you know you come in, I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. You don't have as many years in front of you as you got behind you. Right? And most of us right at 70 years old. And talking in the community, us, I don't think we got 70 years in front of us. It could be. You'd be 140, but you'd be walking around dust falling off you. You ain't gonna be, if what has happened so far is true, you're going to get older, you're going to get weaker, you're not going to be the same. The little spark I have right now at this age, 5 years, if I'm living, it may not even be to raise my arm. I hope I will be, but I'm just saying, who knows? Allah said in the Quran, this is what it says, and we all know. He said, from knowing nothing, did he bring you, and then you go back to knowing nothing again. So praise be to Allah. Lastly, before I go to the second part of this is Quran. I love this. I don't like this. I love this. It says, Al-Yawma Akmaltu lakum dinukum. This day have I perfected for you your religion.
Atmamtu alaykum ni'mat. And I have completed upon you my favor. And they translate this ni'amati, this it's like a gift. God has given us a most honored gift. It says, Raditu lakumul Islamu deen. And I have preferred, or I'm pleased, or I have chosen for you al-Islam as your way of life. This is God himself. This day have I preferred. And what is al-Islam? Al-Islam is living a life to be obedient to God. That nothing is more important to us than obedience to God. Nothing is close to that. Nothing is more important. And the people who ignore that, they say, well, it don't matter. It does matter. If it didn't matter, why is the world in the condition it is? If it doesn't matter. And people would try to make people believe, it don't matter. It does matter. Praise be to Allah. Obeying our Creator, it matters. And mankind might say, it doesn't matter. But those of us who believe that, we are a army of people across this earth. We don't know each other, but it's people that feel just like what I'm saying. I know in the community I'm a part of it here, but it's other people. They feel like that too. That this is not this is how we want to live. And if we truly believe, Allah says when this life is over, He'll wake you up to something even better, much better. This won't even be like it'll be something much better. We just say, where are you getting this from? It says, and the future life is better. I'm not reading it exactly because I don't have it exactly in front of me. I don't want to do that. Dear beloved brothers and sisters, thank you all for your wonderful, wonderful patience to be listening. And I'm going to close this with a short dua, and then we'll begin the second part of this khutbah. Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadah. O Lord, help me in remembering you, in thanking you, and in improving my worship of you. Ameen. Again, Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Again, reading is fundamental. And Muhammad, the Prophet, the prayers and peace of God be upon him, not just a person, but also a community. And God says here, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. And surely you have in the messenger of God the most excellent example, the most complete sound. It's from this word sawā. The prophet is an example of balanced life. Not a warped life, a balanced life. That God is saying, you have in Him. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm inviting you, look his life up. Look the life up of Muhammad the Prophet. You can read, and if you find something insane in there, know that's somebody that put something. If you go to YouTube, first I'm going to invite you to the masjid. As soon as this pandemic is over, you should come
And I'm going to say start with Imam Wali, ask questions, but he have people on his staff that help. Ask about the life of the prophet. Study his life. His life is an example of how we should be. So, going back to these commandments and reading. I took this from some notes I had a long time ago, and I got this from Imam Sharif, so I'm sure you don't mind me sharing this. He said, what is the essential commandment? What is this essential commandment? This is Matthew 4:10. I shared this with the brother. He was a Christian, but he already knew this. This is how beautiful this is. He said, what is the essential commandment? Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shall you serve. This is Bible. I don't know if that makes sense, if people can hear it. Go when you by yourself. Sometimes you have to be by yourself. And it says, what is the essential commandment? Here's another one. The first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And this is the first commandment. Matthew 12, chapter 12, verse 29 and 30. Now I'm going to read a couple more that I'm going to close, but so how did Jesus describe himself? How did he describe his mission? If we say that we are a nation, this is what the brother told me. We're a nation that follows Jesus Christ. This is what he said. Okay, now, if that's true, I'm taking his words now. If that is true, if this is a nation that follows Jesus, what did Jesus say? He said it, I'll read it again. The first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one Lord. If we say we follow him. So my brothers who are preachers, I work with 50 of them. If this is the first commandment, and you say you follow Jesus, then let's follow him. Let's follow him. It's not going to take anything from you. This is something I had to learn personally. No person can be so arrogant and think, oh, I'm right about everything. You're not going to be right about everything. And as soon as you can recognize that, you can humble yourself and you won't have no problem correcting yourself. But if you think you're right about everything, yeah, you'll always have a problem because you're too arrogant. I almost cursed and said something else. You're too darn arrogant. Because you're thinking of yourself as a person that is perfect. And you're not perfect. Only God is perfect. And the human being, they said, as wonderful as I think he was, President Reagan, smart guy. But before he passed, God rest his soul, he didn't even know who he was. He couldn't even say who Nancy was. So so why do we men, I'm talking about men now. I don't know if the sisters suffer from this, I hope they don't. But why do we have to feel like we're right about everything? It's okay to say you're wrong. It's okay, I made a mistake. You say, where you get this from? From being married. Sometimes, in order for I know my wife to have a 50%, sometimes you have to just say, hey, I made a mistake. And then you find people more accommodating once you say that. But if you can't ever say you're wrong, oh my God, you're going to stay in trouble. So let me go ahead. So how did he describe his mission? It says, for I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me. Now this is not Quran, so I know this Father part. You know, I can hear somebody saying, you ain't supposed to say that, and so forth. But I'm just saying how the Bible reads it. He gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. This is what Jesus told him. He said God gave it to him. And that's what he did. So, people who understand, it's very difficult to preach religion if you got to say that you are right about everything. That's why most of us, and I try to do it myself, you just try to stick to the words of God. Because if you can stick to the words of Quran or Bible or whatever, you're going to be all right. Where we sometimes make a mistake is we feel I have to venture off into my own verses. And that's where men have made a mistake. And that's why we have some of these big problems that we're experiencing right now. And it won't just do you like that. It will create a depth of ignorance in you that people will be surprised. Brothers and sisters, in the conclusion, I took psychology in college. First day I came into class, it makes sense now, it didn't then. The professor came in, I can't remember his name, but he walks in and he says, one picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, he didn't know nothing about where I was going to be in my life, but this is how he was trying to explain how the mind works. I'm thinking that he came over. This was way before him. But that's how he gave it. He gave it like it was his own. One picture is worth 1,000 words. One picture. The depths of the evil that some people have has come from this idea that a man is God. And it has gotten so deep, as the Ku Klux Klan guy told me. He said, God is white. And he believed it. The man who had his knee on the brother's neck, he didn't even see him as a human, because that mindset, that psychology, he had ignored it. And if he ignored it long enough, it shows you, this is Quran, I'm not just coming up on it. It says you can be reduced to the lowest of the low. If you do certain things, you can be reduced to the lowest of the low. You won't just be low, you could be, according to the report, this man stood on this man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Any human being with any kind of sense, he wouldn't do that to an animal. But once you begin to think of yourself as superior, and that you're right, and as they put into these books in the United States, African Americans were 3/5 of a human. You're not just a human, you're 3/5. So I told him, and I'm going to be through at 2 o'clock, we got about 5 minutes. I told him, I said, you know what, you're not a racist. He told me he was a racist, Brother Imam. He said, I'm a racist. I said, you're not a racist, you know what you are. And this is what educated me. I said, you're just ignorant. Oh, he did not like that. He actually preferred racist to ignorant. He educated me, he didn't know it. I said, that disturbs you? But you like calling you ignorant? I ain't ignorant. I said, you are ignorant. You ignorant. But you're thinking that you're racist because you are superior. But you're not. God made all of us. This is the teachings I was telling what the Quran say. Everybody's born Muslim. Everybody's born good. Somebody told you you were sinful, so therefore if you're sinful, then you got to be saved from the sin. You got to have a savior to save you from being so sinful. I said, but that's the ignorance. And that's the depth of how deep it can go. I didn't know personally how deep that can run in a person's mind. When we first came into this community, as we're closing here, looking at 2 o'clock, Imam Muhammad told us to read a book, and it was called Subliminal Seduction. I went back recently and pulled it up. Subliminal Seduction. It speaks about, I wish I had wrote down what exactly what it was saying, but this is the essence. It speaks about something can be in your subconscious so deep that you're acting out and don't even know you're doing it. It's actually in your subconscious. It's not you're not conscious of it, but it's there like a hidden machine, so to speak, and it's causing you to act out a certain way, but you don't know that's why you're acting out. You have the conscious and you have that subconscious. So Imam said, he said subliminal seduction. Read it. They have subliminally reduced the American public into this hateful attitude. And it didn't just happen. Let's go back 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 400 years. Go back all the way to Africa. Go back way back 1400 years ago. Bilal as a slave. When people, the person asked me recently, how did this happen? I said, go read, I told them, read the Bible. You're going to find the story of Noah. It's there if you want to read it, but if you don't want to read it, Noah had these 3 sons. The one to whom, I'm not going to get into all that, but the one to whom was supposed to serve everybody else was from Egypt. It's there. And the Bible that I'm reading from has footnotes in it. And the footnote says Egypt was Africa. Excuse me. So a person says, well, I don't have no deep-seated hatred. Yes, you do. Because you think these people are supposed to serve you. Well, you say, what people? I'm talking about people that are chocolate like me and other chocolate people. You think that they're less than you. You believe that. And if you got any hint of wickedness in you, it's just going to keep growing. Allah let you get what you justly deserve. And your evilness spews back. It says, according to the Quran, any good that happens to you, that's from Allah himself. But any bad, that's from man. It don't mean everybody has done this. It means that the people in leadership, they have done that. So dear beloved brothers and sisters, I actually got about 50 more pages. And I know you don't want to hear all that. We have a long way to go. Obedience to God is the key. And if reading is fundamental, read for yourself and you will find number 1 commandment is to obey God. And if that's ignored, we're never going to solve these problems. Because that's what they asked me. How can we solve it? Get this idea of this false worship out. Can you get that? And it's not easy. For my Caucasian friends, I know it ain't easy. I'm going to stop right there, brothers and sisters. Thank you all who are listening, especially Masjid al-Mu'minun. Thank you so much. I'm going to also make mention here, the Mosque Cares is requesting support from the believers. Thank you very much. The Mosque Cares is requesting support from the believers. Send donations to Mosque Cares, the Ministry of W.D. Muhammad, P.O. Box 1061, Calumet City, 60409. Again, Mosque Cares is requesting support from the believers. Send donations to Mosque Cares, Ministry of Imam W.D. Muhammad, P.O. Box 1061, Calumet City, 60409. Also, Sister Charmaine says the only announcement is for the Halal Food Pantry, and we need dry beans, canned tuna, and canned salmon. Praise be to Allah. We're going to close with a short prayer. Rabbij aini mukini salati wa min duriyati Rabbana wa taqabbal dua. And oh my Lord, please make me or help me to keep up prayer. And also my offspring. And oh my Lord, please accept my prayer. Ameen.